Okay, guys, Spider-Man No Way Home. Spider-Man, Spider-Man, something, something that a spider can. I don't fucking know, but Spider-Man. All right, guys, Spider-Man No Way Home. What a damn ride, dude. What a mature Spider-Man movie, to my surprise and to my complete freaking enjoyment. Just wow. That would sum up how I feel about this movie. Now, my biggest gripe about the Tom Holland Spider-Man movies and these MCU version of Spider-Mans has always been that, like, those first two movies, for me at least, they just always felt like they're just trying to set things up and connect to the MCU and dealing with, still with MCU problems, They didn't really seem to focus on the Spider-Man-y shit and Spider-Man problems as much as I felt like they were just trying to connect, kind of what's happening with Spider-Man and make sure that, it kind of flows with what's happening in the MCU. And in this movie, obviously, it still does that. It's still an MCU movie. There's Doctor Strange in it, but we really focus in on Spider-Man as a character and, how, his life affects the people around him and, the people that love him, and how there's consequences, to your actions and, you can't kind of just wish away your problems. And that's one thing that I fucking love about this fucking movie, right off the fucking rip. Spoiler alert from the second movie. Everybody knows that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. Spoiler alert. Wow. Crazy shit. In this movie, first thing right off the bat, he comes home from Europe and he's forced to deal with everybody knowing that he's Spider-Man. He can't fucking swing anywhere. He can't jack off anywhere. He can't do anything without everybody up his ass. Everybody knowing and harassing him and harassing, MJ, Aunt May, his best friend, Happy. Everybody that he fucking knows is affected by, now the world knowing that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. So he's right in the beginning of the movie, he's forced to deal with everything that has happened in Spider-Man Far From Home. So I enjoyed that. I enjoyed to see, consequences to things that Spider-Man does or things that Spider-Man goes through, kind of leading into it. It does flow very nicely. But yeah, now he's back home. He's dealing with everybody knowing that he's Spider-Man. And obviously they start showing that his friends are affected by it. Everybody's trying to get into MIT. They can't get accepted into MIT because they're friends with Spider-Man, all that, political bullshit. It's fucked up shit. Shouldn't do that at MIT, but they did. And like anybody else would do, you run to your wizard friend and have him do a little fucking spell that wishes away all of your problems. But Spider-Man runs down the yellow brick road to Wizard of Oz and goes to his friend Doctor Strange and has him do a spell that will make everybody forget that he's Spider-Man. And ultimately during that spell, and instead of everybody forgetting that he's Spider-Man, everybody that knows he's Spider-Man, even from other universes, come to this universe, which obviously brings in Doc Ock, Green Goblin, Electro. What's the little green dinosaur man again? I keep forgetting his fucking name. The Lizard Man, whatever. You know who I'm talking about. And the Sandman, which I'm not gonna lie, I was very nervous before this movie came out and thought, hey, they're just gonna take, cash grab all of these, amazing villains that we loved from the old Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield Spider-Mans. They're gonna bring them into this one and just throw all the stuff that we used to love from the old Spider-Man movies into this movie, and automatically we're just gonna love it. And they didn't do that. I'm gonna be completely honest with you. For the most part, all of the villains that they did bring back play a pretty decent part, especially Green Goblin, Doc Ock, and Electro. They actually play a pretty decent part in this movie. And again, to my surprise, they were in a good chunk of this movie and actually have things to do in this movie. And they're really not just to put on the screen and just to get people to want to watch Spider-Man based on stuff that they used to like from Spider-Man. So that was very, 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 very well done. And let's get right fucking to it. They killed Aunt May, dude. Like, damn. Rest in peace to fucking Aunt May, the hottest Aunt May that we've ever had. Poof. Just gone. They just completely took her away from us, dude. Such a fucking crazy thing. I was so sad. And spoiler alerts, Green Goblin did it, and I thought they did it in a very unique way. And definitely for fans to kind of realize, Green Goblin's glider comes smashing through the windows and fucking impales Aunt May so fucking hard. And if you remember from that first movie, he had those knives, those fucking spears in the front of his glider. So as soon as it hit, I was like, oh, she's dead, bro. And they do a really good job where she kind of tries to shake it off, like, she fucking stubbed her toe and she just had to take a few steps and kind of walk it off or whatever. She tried to walk it off and she's talking to Peter, and then all of a sudden she hits the classic "with great power comes great responsibility" line, which I thought was really nice that, obviously you switch it up from Ben having to say it, and obviously Aunt May says it in this one. And it was very touching. They did a very good job, and I thought Tom Holland did an amazing job portraying the emotions that go along with that scene. But I thought it was a clever way to kind of switch it up and have her say the classic Spider-Man line this time around. And that's another thing as well. William Defoe as Green Goblin does not fail. He comes right back and kind of really just slips in so so nicely. I was just so surprised. I'm like, wow. William fucking Defoe. Like when he was getting smashed in the face and he just keeps looking up at Peter and he's just smiling and the smile gets bigger and bigger and the laughter gets bigger and bigger with each punch. It was so good. Spot on stuff. Jamie Foxx's Electro, does actually a pretty good job and actually makes me more interested. And I would have liked to actually see Jamie Foxx as this version of Electro and his own movie, or with Andrew Garfield, because I didn't really love Jamie Foxx in the original, the way they portrayed Electro in that original Amazing Spider-Man 2. So thought he was awesome. And then obviously Doc Ock in this, really, really, really well done again. They make him a character with duality, which he was in Spider-Man 2. So, he's not just a crazy bad guy. That chip did mess him up. There's a good guy underneath there that, he's constantly fighting these voices. So they did a great job of bringing him back and doing great things and giving him a lot of things to do. And as the story starts to unfold, Peter decides that instead of, sending everybody back to their universes that they belong, which Doctor Strange wanted to do, and says, hey, Peter, we're going to, scramble everybody together. We're going to send them back to the universes where they want to be. And Peter realizes that if he does send them back to the universe that where they belong, then they're going to die, because a lot of them died, at the end, obviously, at the end of those movies, they died. So if they go back to those universes, they die. Peter feels bad and says, hey, I'm going to fix these guys. I'm going to try and help them and send them back and hopefully actually give them a chance. Let's send them back good instead of sending them back bad, and obviously having the tragic endings that they do have. So I thought that was good, and honestly, that was Aunt May's idea, to do that. She kind of influenced Peter to do that and said, hey, we help people, that's what we do. And that's what you do, and that's what got you killed. It's fucked up. But yeah, Peter decides to go fucking be Spider-Man Jesus and tries to save all the fucking villains from themselves, which was, again, great. Loved it. Awesome. Now let's get to what we fucking here for, and that's fucking Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield reprising their roles as Spider-Mans from their fucking universe. And it was great. It was fucking great. Ned has the little, ringy fucking Doctor Strange ring where he can open up portals and shit. And he's sitting there and he's like, I wish to see Peter Parker. They're looking for Peter. They don't know where Peter is. And, he does a little wish thing. And sure enough, you think it's fucking our Tom Holland Spider-Man coming through the portal, and it's not. It's Andrew Garfield's, and they do a great introduction for him. And the same thing with Tobey Maguire. He comes to the portal, do another great introduction for him. It was a great scene, and they it was actually a pretty funny scene. I thought it was pretty well done. And again, Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, I thought maybe they'll just come in for the last 10, 15 minutes for the third act and just like kill the bad guys, and then that's it. You never see them again. And it's not that at all. They're actually in the entire second half of this actual movie, and they're great supporting characters for Tom Holland's Peter Parker. Absolutely, they do a phenomenal job. They help him cope with Aunt May's death and say, hey, Tobey Maguire was like, hey, Uncle Ben died because of me, and I went down this road, and don't go down this road because this is what can happen. Same thing with Andrew Garfield. He was like, I lost Gwen, and he fucking, her head splattered on the fucking ground when he was trying to fucking and save her and shit. So sad. Sorry. But yeah, he's sitting there. He's like, listen, I lost Gwen. I went down this dark road. Don't go down this dark road. Continue to believe and continue to be you. Continue to help, right? Because if you help somebody, you help everybody. Shout out to you, Aunt May. So in the third act, all the Spider-Mans team up in a glorious way. They have amazing shots. All the action scenes are absolutely amazing in this whole movie. Action was done phenomenally in this whole movie. And the majority of this movie takes place at night. And I thought that was very interesting. They even visually, they wanted, I think, to kind of portray Spider-Man growing up and becoming, going from a boy to becoming a man. And they do a very good job at expressing that through this movie. And they really beat Spider-Man up. They put Spider-Man through the fucking ringer in this movie. But in the end, all the Spider-Mans take out all the villains in a fantastic way. And Peter is met with a decision, a very important decision on the only way to send them back to the universes and not continue to have other villains that know Spider-Man coming into this universe is to have everybody just forget who Peter Parker is, period. And that means his loved ones, anybody that knows him, MJ, Happy, everybody. Nobody, if Iron Man was still fucking alive, he wouldn't remember him. Doctor Strange won't remember him. Nobody in the Avengers will ever remember who Peter Parker even is. And who Spider-Man is as far as his identity. So he's forced to make that decision, and he decides, let's fucking make it. And it's a very great and mature decision that they decide to do that. And it was a great road to go down. He goes back and he tells MJ, listen, you're not going to remember me. You're not going to remember anything about what happened. You're not going to remember that I even existed. And it was a very sweet scene after all the action and everybody goes back to their universes. Spider-Man kind of goes back into the coffee shop that they're in the beginning of the movie where they're talking about going to college. And he realizes that since they don't remember Peter Parker and they were never a part of his life and they don't remember ever being a part of his life, they actually were able to get into the college that they wanted to go into, and they're actually living a happy life and a life without all of the extra bullshit that comes along with being with Peter Parker or knowing who Peter Parker is, and obviously Spider-Man. So he decides not to tell them and not to remind them and kind of just let them live their lives. And he kind of goes on and decides he's going to start over by himself. Nobody remembers him. He has nothing. He's broke, back in the apartment, and he goes back to build the classic Spider-Man suit, which I'm very excited about, man. Very fucking excited about. But yeah, that's Spider-Man No Way Home. What did you think? Did you like it, love it, hate it? Did you fucking not like it, love it, or hate it? Whatever it is, please comment below. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell, all that good stuff, guys. Until next time, rest in peace, Aunt May.